Happy New Year, everybody. I have a little different bell today on for our author, Tom.T. Moore. Um, we've had him on numerous times because he's such an interesting guest. He's a telepath. He's an author of many, many books. Most recently, Gaia, volumes one and two, Conversations with Gaia. Tom, would you like to hold those books up so people can
Sure.
have a look?
Well, there's volume one. They both look the same except one says one and the other one says two.
Yeah,
And
so
and basically it's showing the reason I picked that image, or at least gave the artist the idea, was that it shows there are 12 Earths, 12 timeline Earths. There's 12 Toms, 12 U's.
oh, that's a whole nother show that we can talk about how
Yeah,
interesting those timelines are.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's kind of across the board that a lot of people who are intuitive and do prophecy, they all talk about these 12 timelines.
yeah.
So
Or 11. Some people only recognize 11
because
because
the
the
other so
12th timeline is non-physical.
yes.
That's considered the perfect um, the perfect life by our souls, and all the other lives on earth are measured against that one life.
Very cool, very cool. And
Okay.
that's also I really want to talk about that sometime,
Okay.
of your perspective on that. And we always want to try to be at that higher timeline whenever we can. We are creators. So
There's a
we
lot
had
to learn about those other timelines.
there's a lot.
There's a lot to learn about those other timelines.
And I think it's very useful for what we're coming into. It's very important to learn these things,
Yep.
um, because it really helps you to have more control over your life, to put yourself in a better position, to attract the better timelines for the earth changes that are coming up and are already going on. And last time we had you here, um, we talked about Gaia and the markers, the earthquake markers,
Mhm.
because the way this works is according to the collective consciousness of what we're all contributing within our minds, hearts, and feeling and actions, we can have a better result or, a result that's more difficult. And you had specific, I think, four markers
Mhm.
so that we can then kind of see how it's going in the end of 2025,
Not going, you know,
huh?
or not going,
Or
whichever.
not going, so we don't have to have anything. But
Yeah.
there has been some activity.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to let you
So,
take over the conversation now.
yeah, let's go over the four markers. In January of 2025, I was having a conversation with Gaia, Soul the Earth, and she has been allowing me for the last several years to have an update on the possibility of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Um, every 6 months, January and June. But she also said that if you see a large migration of people um, in between those times, then that means that I have been given permission by your souls to go ahead and move and have these earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And it's been sitting for the last 2 or 3 years or more at something like 65% probability of earthquakes um, in on the north coast of the United States and Canada and even Mexico. Um, and having major earthquakes, and a 73% percentage of the Yellowstone um, supervolcano erupting. So, of course, don't forget the Los Angeles area had that terrible fire in the Palisades and all,
I
and
was
destroyed. hundreds of structures. And so she brought up the fact last January that that was the signal with a mass migration out of California and a mass migration in that she had been given the permission by our souls that they'd ask her to hold off for several years in having these earth movements. So uh, she said that 75% of the people whose homes and businesses and churches and stores and businesses were burned up would actually be forced to move out of state, which they have not yet mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, that and people are complaining that all these houses that didn't get burned up, they still can't go back into because of all the toxic chemicals that work their way in, and they can't get their insurance companies, naturally they're stalling
Hmm.
and to do anything. So a large portion of these people are going to be forced to move out of state if they have not already. And probably a lot of them did in the summer months to find a place where the schools were not an hour drive away, like I saw one news story about. So anyway, that's that was sort of like the kicker, the key that opened the door. And of course, there will be people moving in that will be young souls that will be there to start rebuilding and everything. And all of these people are have not experienced earthquakes or volcanic eruptions in their past lives. And
Now, is that everybody or just the young souls that are moving in?
well, it can be younger souls, even maybe up to medium, whatever. Um, that if they
Okay.
have not, if they've not gone experience, say, an Atlantean life where the whole continent of Atlantis. Um, let's see, where is that? I have a book on Atlantis and Lemuria. Um,
Yes, and we have a whole couple videos on that
yeah,
from a few
and
months ago. Yes.
so, 30 years ago, most of Atlantis sank due to volcanic eruptions, and millions of people lost their lives all across the world. And then, uh, and then Lemuria, or the continent of Mu, they destroyed themselves in a war 7,500 years ago with hydrogen type bombs. And so that sank the continent, and millions more people died. So you've got two major events even then that happened, and even a smaller event when the leftovers of the Atlantean people destroyed each other in a war done with laser weapons in aircraft, and the oceans rose 45 feet, and that's when uh, uh, what's his name? Noah and his ark floated off and landed on the bottom of Mount Ararat. So anyway, all these events in the past, if they haven't experienced those events, then they're in line to experience this as part of their one of their lives on Earth out of the 600 to 800 on average that people have. So that's what I was told was coming. Now, I made it more simple for people to look at. At that time, I told people, well, you have several choices. One, you can do absolutely nothing until these events start happening,
Mhm.
and then number two, you can move immediately. Number three, you can do such things as buying a house in an area to the east, Phoenix, all the way through the southern states, and where the prices are not too high yet, and or you can buy a motorhome and have it stored, say in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I gave them several possibilities of what they could do. Now, the four markers are this. Marker one, I was told in the months of November and December of, of 2025 that there will be an increase in earthquake activity on the North American West Coast. And that goes all the way from the Aleutian Islands all the way down to Baja, California. Okay, so that's marker number one. Then I'll go through the three markers and then we'll look at marker one again.
Okay, great. Because we've
Okay.
seen, yeah, some activity.
Okay, so marker number two would be January, February, and March into the middle of April, where the earthquake activity, instead of just more numerous activity with the maximums being 5 to 5.3 in January, February, and March, and into April, then those earthquakes would become stronger, with the highest ones being at 6 to 6.5. And then if that starts happening, uh, then in April, Gaia says the door is closing. You barely have enough time to get out of town. And then in May and June comes the really, really big ones. Now, all the geologists and even people that study it, not as a full-time working geologists, are talking about the big one. Okay. But Gaia says, no, there's not going to be one. It's not going to be another Northridge earthquake or another um, San Francisco earthquake from 1989. There's going to be 35 to 40 minimum of these huge earthquakes that will be magnitudes eights and nines, with many hundreds that'll be five, sixes, and sevens. Okay. And then 45 days later, um, because of these earthquakes opening vents in the Yellowstone caldera, there's going to be the super volcano is going to erupt, and it's going to be larger than Mount Tempora was. If you want to look that up, Google it. That was the largest earthquake in the world. This was going to be larger than that. Okay, so that's what the markers will bring if if these events come. So let's go back and look at marker number one. Okay.
Yes.
So we have, if you even look, we have started having more smaller earthquakes, twos and threes, and of course Susanville, California, has had a 4.7 and a 4.9, and I understand, and I haven't had a chance to check this out. One of my readers just emailed me, I think yesterday, on this, that um, that in Alaska they've had 5.3s and
Wow.
5.5s even, and and then I know I'm missing one. Oh, there's been a 7.0 in Alaska. So if you want to judge
Why
or give a
not?
score to marker number one, then I would have to say it's at least 75 or 80% marker one has happened. You
Now,
you can draw your own percentages if you wish.
Tom, I think did you ever find out because there was that one in California that just happened and it fluctuated. They had different readings on it.
Yeah,
Sometimes
wasn't that strange?
4.7, 4.9, and then 5.0 at one point. But then
Well,
it got
was one
downgraded.
4.7 at Susanville, then it was up to 5.0, and then it was back down to 5.7, and then since then they've had
4.7. Yeah.
4.9. So the question is it just because of the holidays they had less experienced people working to analyze these earthquakes? Um, uh, or was it just because they analyzed it more and more and it turned out to be just a 4.7? Or was it a 5.0 and they didn't want to have
Scare people.
people running for the hills, so
Mhm.
they downgraded it just to keep people happy?
Yeah.
Or now the problem with Susanville. Now, can you imagine if it and Susanville actually sits on a fault. Can you imagine if there is a huge 8 or 9 earthquake that affects Susanville? Susanville has 2 prisons around Susanville. Okay. Now,
Mm.
can you imagine several hundred inmates suddenly, the walls come down and they suddenly get out of prison?
Wow. Wow.
You know, that's one of the things that I've been telling people. I didn't know Susanville was a prison center. I've been telling people, well, there are prisons all throughout California,
Yeah.
Oregon, Washington State, and so on. And and if there are eights and nines and 35 or 40 of them with all these pretty large quakes as aftershocks, the prisons are going to come down and there's going to be people running around that they have to be worried about. So I'm telling people, they're saying, oh, well, we'll get out when the big ones come. No. First of all, even if you look at history, that 6.9 earthquake in the San Francisco area took down interstates, took down bridges, made it impossible for people to travel on those structures. So at some point, coming up towards May, it's going to get to a point with just 6 points, ones and fives, that they're not going to be able to travel. They're going to be stuck. So what do you do? That's why I keep telling people, you know, if this marker one, because Gaia said, I asked, I actually tried as hard as I could. I said, Gaia, yeah, yes, we've had an increase in earthquakes, but they're not really been the fives or the 5.3s. And she said, timing for humans is one thing, but she says, take it to the bank. This is going to happen. Now, she hasn't told me that, given me that saying in maybe a year or so. She only uses it when she's absolutely emphatic and says, this, whatever it is going to happen. Take it to the bank. So that's what I have to go on. So, you know, what do you do? Do you want to wait a little bit longer and just see, yes, the sixes and 6.5s are starting to happen? We have a little problem in February. I don't know if you heard about this, Najia, but
No.
but uh, the planets are going to align
Oh,
around
yes.
February 12th, I think.
20th.
20th? Okay.
Major, major, major.
Yes.
It
All
hasn't happened in recorded history to that
Yes.
degree.
And Gaia says that the planets becoming aligned, and she says it's going to be before that date and after that date are going to help her uh, move everything. Now, some of the planets are going to land absolutely straight, but 2 or 3 of the larger planets are not going to align, but they're all going to be in the same portion of the night sky. We're going to be able to see all of them and all of their energy. I've read people poo-pooing, oh, the planets don't do anything. Yeah, well, look at the moon.
Yeah, look at the moon.
Moon, and it
Affects a
controls
lot.
our tides. What are
Yeah.
these big planets? So they're a few million miles away when you're 20 or 50 times. I'm sorry, I haven't. I haven't looked that up recently. The size of the Earth.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're not going to have a little, um, uh, a little strength to do something to help Gaia out if she wants to? And then the other thing that's happening, notice all the rain that Washington State, Oregon, California, all
Mhm.
those are having. And I asked her about that. I said, is all this rainfall um, that's happening, is that going to act as a lubricant for you? And she said, absolutely. And then I asked this last time in my weekly newsletter, which you can find at www.thegentlewaybook.com. I asked I ask her, well, um, but these plates are maybe several miles below the earth. And she says, Tom, your geologists don't have any idea how fast this water can seep through, that there are natural tunnels and all sorts of ways for this water to seep down, and it's going to seep down much faster than your geologists think, because in order to prove that, they would have to drill holes all up and down the coast to measure that, and they have not done that, she said.
But Tom, what does that mean when the water seeps down into the earth? How does that affect the earth when it goes that deep, miles deep?
Well, it acts just like oil in an engine. It it allows, if it's stuck, it suddenly allows it to loosen.
And do more activity?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so it'll allow these plates that have been stuck to suddenly
Oh my
move.
God.
So
Yeah.
so anyway, that's um, I haven't gotten the marker 4 yet. So marker 3, the big guys come 35 or 40 minimum. And she gave me that number. It could be larger, but sometimes she gives me numbers that humans can accept, where it could be a larger number, but she sometimes tell me, well, that's what your readers will accept. So I don't know if it's just 35 or 40 or it's going to be more than that. But but what's going to happen for marker 4, with all of these major earthquakes happening, not just one, not just two, but tens, uh, it's going to cause a rip or a vent in the caldera of the Yellowstone volcano, and it's going to cause it to erupt about 35 or 40 days after these major eruptions start on the West Coast. It'll give some warning. They'll start having earthquakes around the around Yellowstone, but when it blows, 35 or 40 days later, 45 days later, um, it's the kill zone will be 250 miles in every direction. 250 miles, everything is going to die.
And
Okay.
is that because of the gases or fire or what's going on in the
Blast.
air?
If
Huh?
the blast, look at
Oh, the
look at
blast.
the
Like
mount.
the
Yeah,
explosion itself would go that far.
yes, the
So it's
blast. Look at Mount St. Helens. They didn't,
mm,
and that's a much smaller blast when it happened. I mean, it killed people for miles around, but this one is a super volcano. We've never, in modern times, we've never had one that big, and it's going to be larger than Tampora. So people look that up, Tampora, I believe, and see that how large that one was. It That one caused the Earth's temperature to cool by 5 degrees for a year or so, and Gaia says that's not going to happen to the Earth. But what's going to happen? The ash cloud will go across uh, the northern United States and the southern part of Canada, and it'll go all the way to the Great Lakes, all the way to Chicago before the lake water and all dissipates the ash cloud. and it's going to form a mini ice age because there will be several feet of ash over not too long a time, and people will not be able to even drive, um, much less exist um, in this mini ice age. So they're going to have to move south. So that's,
South of Ohio to
yeah, I
the
mean,
Yellowstone, to past Yellowstone. Well, because
well, south, certainly south of Chicago, let's say, okay?
yeah,
Or even a little farther. I mean, Chicago is not the very, very edge of it. It'll go a little farther down in Indiana, but places to the east and places to the south will have ash clouds at times, but not constantly. So even if you live in Colorado or Kansas or whatever, there will be times when you have ash clouds over you. Um, uh, Places like Utah, um, Utah, because of the mountains, places like Salt Lake City will be protected. Even places like my old stomping ground, Park City, where I used to ski, um, they they will be protected except for houses that are built on the tops of mountains that are, people like to live on top of a mountain. Uh, they won't be protected from the blast.
so how about going toward the East Coast? Do you see any earthquakes, any other activity?
No. Now, what everyone that listens to me, listens to us today, has to take in mind is that because of the tsunamis and the earthquakes on the North
Mhm.
American West Coast, we're going to lose, I say we as the coast
Yeah,
is going to lose land all
I
up
see
and down the
that.
coast. Baja California will break away and become an island. All right. And but because of these earthquakes taking place at different places on the North American coast, they will form tsunamis that will go in different directions. So maybe if you're living on in Hawaii, maybe there'll be a huge tsunami of 100 feet that will come directly onto the Oahu beach. Um, but another tsunami will come on to the eastern part of the island.
Yeah. Uh,
So it really all depends. And so you've got these huge tsunamis that will go all the way across the Pacific at 600 miles an hour, wiping out a lot of land. The Oahu airport is going to be completely out of service. They won't be able to have any planes land or take off. Um, you've got Asia, you've got Japan that will get hit tremendously hard. All of Asia, all the way down the coast, in the Philippines, and then all the way to even as far as um, Australia will have even as high as 30-foot ones, at least one or more. So you've got different directions that these tsunamis are going to go, and every time it goes on shore, it's going to bring not only houses and buildings and what have you back with it into the ocean, uh, but it's going to take land with it. And so all of that land is going to cause over a year period, 2 or 3 inches at a time, 5 or 6 inches at a time, the oceans of the world are going to rise 3 feet. Okay.
yeah.
So if you live on the East Coast, someone was asking me about Ocean Sea, Maryland, I think it was. And it,
Yeah, there's an Ocean City, Maryland.
yeah,
Yes. Very
in the last in my last newsletter, and I think, or the one before that, and I was told this is a tiny peninsula sitting on the coast of Maryland, and And yes, they're going to be inundated, and the ocean will slowly take the houses away.
Mm.
So,
So, Tom, one of the things I've seen in my visions and dreams for a while now,
mhm.
and I don't, and it's something that it's the oddest thing in regards to closer to where I live on the east. I'm 100 miles from the ocean. And my dreams and visions are me out in the Jersey Shore area, New Jersey. And what I see is the ocean rises really high, almost like a tsunami.
Mm,
It has that ominous look. It's really dark, and it's also dark, kind of rainy, kind of precipitation day. And what's happening is instead of like a big leveling up and going over, it just it's just like ominous and high, and it just does this sloshing,
right.
almost like a fish tank.
And probably that'll be part of it, you know,
So why would
because,
that do that?
well, because let's just say a huge tsunami causes a 6 inch rise. It's almost like, a bowl where you swish the water
That's what
real
it's
high.
like. Yes.
And and so yes, and also it could be storms that that crop up, and normal type storms that come up the East Coast, and but they're higher because of the higher water level. They go farther inland.
Yeah, and they carve like these big dunes in the beach, which, that part of New Jersey, is pretty flat. It's that we don't have big dunes there. It's not like other places along the East Coast or even the West Coast. So it's the oddest thing. And people are out in my dreams and visions. They're just watching it. And they're still on the beach. And they're on the beach even though it's not a sunny day. They're just hanging out. It's just like the weirdest thing. I often wonder, is it a physical event or a metaphor for complacency,
Yep.
and just
Well, it's going to be a lot of complacency, because when I've tried to talk to people on the West Coast, they don't want to hear this. They have lived with
I
this for
know.
years. They've
Yeah.
accepted the fact that they're living in earthquake country. But hey, it's only going to be one, if it, and then we're okay after that. And it's not going to be that way. So um, that's what I'm being told. So I'd rather, let's talk about surviving.
Yeah.
For the people in the West Coast, you need to look very strongly that if these 6 and 6.5s um, earthquakes start happening in January, February, and March, especially in February, probably because of the
Yeah.
alignment of the planets, then you
Yeah.
need to seriously consider looking at where at escape routes that will have as few bridges or overpasses or whatever in your way. Um, and you don't need to wait that long, but I know some people will, a lot of people will, because I'm told 60 million people will die between the North American West Coast and and the eruption of the volcano. Uh, 60 million people will die because of that, including Vancouver is going to be wiped out. I mean, so don't leave them out. Probably uh, Alaska. Uh, they're already having,
A
when they're
lot.
having 7.0s already. They're gonna have some big stuff. And I was told, they just had a couple of fives um, recently. So you're you need to look at escape plan, and I tried to give information on that. You need to look at either buying a house. You could buy a house somewhere um, to the east, even if it's just a tiny starter house, kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
Have a place.
and use it for Airbnb for a little while so that you don't have somebody that will be renting and will refuse to move
Leave.
out when you need it. And so you could do things like that. You could fly to the Dallas Fort Worth area, and there are just a ton of places that sell RVs. I recommend instead of a motor home, buying one that you can attach to your car, and and that way you can you can park it and rent a place, that preferably has at least gravel or a pavement place and preferably an overhead awning just in case there's any hailstorms,
Oh, yeah.
um, and just leave it there so that when you do decide that you got to leave and you got to leave right now, that you can just go to U-Haul. You've already got a trailer hitch on your car that you've already had installed. All you do is say, I need this size U-Haul, hook it up, and you're out of there. And on your way to pack up your belongings and heading east, whether it's just be to Las Vegas or um, to Phoenix or Albuquerque or or El Paso or the Dallas Fort Worth area, the whole South is going to start receiving more rain. Phoenix and Albuquerque and all, they're going to be starting to have 30 to 35 inches of rain per year. And the Dallas Fort Worth area and all these places south of us are going to start having 60 inches of rain per year. And we're going to turn subtropical along with the rest of the South. So
Mm.
the weather patterns are going to change because Gaia says she's taking down all the mountains around Los Angeles, and that will allow weather systems to go straight across. Now, if she takes down all the mountains, uh, where's there going to be a road for people to drive
But
through?
how much? Yes, there won't be the roads, but I want to
There
ask
won't
you,
be.
and people are asking this in the comments because we've had you on several times.
Yeah,
And I know, I can only bring up some of the things you ask in the comments. When I see Tom, he does check everything through his email, through his newsletter, his website, everything. Just so you know, he will eventually see your email. But one of the things they're asking is is so much of the West Coast falling into the ocean, or does it stay there and just destroyed? What is actually going on?
it's really most of the beach area.
That's
Okay,
what I kind of thought.
so it's not going to be, I can't remember the name of the guy's name that had a map, where it was like all of California was gone up to Las Vegas or something or other. I don't remember, but that's not going to happen. Um, if you get past the border of California, you'll feel shaking, but it's not it's not the major quakes. Okay, that's what I'm told. And so your main concern is that you're going to um, you're going to have these huge movements, eights and nines. If you look at shaking.com or whatever California shaking.com, I can't remember the website, but you can find it. And they show what happens if there's like a 7 or 8 earthquake, and they show it for each section of Southern California. And and you see the land going just like this. I mean, how can anything, uh, not collapse with that happening? And then you have this not earth, these quicksands where the earth turns liquid, and
Oh,
and you have cars that just sink below the pavement because of that. So you've got all these things happening. Now, if you're one of the people that are waiting, until the last minute, and you haven't rented I mean, you haven't bought your own uh, RV, consider going to a place as close to the West Coast as you can find, renting it there because they're not going to be in business any longer, and hooking that up and driving with it. The problem is that if you wait too long, you're not going you're going to wind up having to ditch the RV because you can't get through.
Yeah,
So
you hope you get through the road, so you have to be careful where is your RV
yeah,
stored.
well, and for that matter, you may not even be able to have your car get through unless it's,
Yeah.
a big off-road um, vehicle. So you've got problems, but at least that's what I would recommend. I would also recommend considering if this goes on in March to move your money to a bank in Phoenix or in Albuquerque or DFW, wherever,
Yeah.
that is not connected with any bank on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So you've
That
got
would
your
not hurt.
money.
That would not be too difficult.
Yeah. And the other thing you could do would be to start buying gold coins because gold and silver will go right through the roof. And if you've got gold coins, they're going to go up, you know, 1,000% or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's good to have.
And get physical coins because like one light gold coin is worth a few
Exactly.
$1,000s right
Yeah.
now.
Or even they have these little, what do you call it? Almost like a little candy bar size, uh, tiny bite-sized bars that are that you can buy. So there's
And you can carry with you, in other words. Like,
you
don't
can
buy
carry
the
with it.
gold on the
Yeah,
digital. Buy the real thing of something solid
right.
that fits in a small
A
pouch.
small place
Yeah.
where nobody can find it. If you
Yeah.
have to stop on the road at a motel, that somebody doesn't break into your car to steal
I mean,
laptops or whatever
I
it
mean,
happens to be.
you can keep it on your body. They're small enough, you know?
Yes, exactly. So there are things that you can do that I have recommended um, for you to survive if you're on the West Coast. Now, if you're to the east, we're talking about places that will not be affected. Um, you should at least consider um, talking to your relatives or friends that live on the West Coast, and even offer if you've got a room, maybe you've got a room that's you're using mostly as storage. You can say, "Hey, look, I can move this stuff to the garage. If you need a place to stay, I've got a room for you."
Hmm.
And or maybe you have a cottage in the back of your house that mostly you use as maybe an
Yeah.
office or storage, and you can say you can have my cottage as long as you need in order to recover and find a job and whatever happens to be. So you can help people like that, and and all the way to the East Coast, because there are going to be refugees coming from the north, coming from the west, and they're going to flood. There's not going to be enough places to house them. So you need to think about what you can do to assist people in making that transition.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're having to go through all these changes and having to move little by little through your
Mhm.
car or whatever,
Yeah,
it would be a good time now before prices might skyrocket for gym memberships. Because $10 a month, you have clean showers,
exactly.
all
Yeah,
over. Like a lot of I know the people who travel to my Airbnb, they
yeah,
love that I'm 3 blocks from Planet Fitness. And they got all everything going on there. And they told me like it's all over the country, this some of these gyms. And
yeah.
they're not showering at Planet Fitness, but they're just going there
Well,
to exercise.
they do have showers, and I
They
mean,
have showers and they
yes.
have massage beds and everything.
Yeah, and there are cheap places like that, $10 a month. The
And a
gym we
month.
belong to is a little more expensive. It's because that way we don't have as many people in, and it's Anytime
Yeah.
Fitness. If people have heard of that one, they, they typically, I think, are 50 or $60 a month, maybe for a couple. I don't know. My wife pays that bill, but but they have 3 showers in just in our smaller gym.
Yeah, and buy a tent. Like I bought a tent for $40 on sale,
Mhm.
and it's a great tent. It sleep two people. It's easy to put up. I mean, and then I learned to camp, for the first time a couple years ago. And I
Oh,
said, this will come in handy because, I see stuff happening in my visions and, I do see the geography changing. And I'm like, you know what? It's good. I know how to do this, you know?
yeah, that's good. Good idea. Yes, tents are good. They, um, to buy one on sale now or whatever, and
But
there's
they'd be on sale now with this cold weather.
yeah, exactly. So,
This is the season to buy the tent.
think about it. There are things that you can
Sleeping
do
bags, things.
just in case. Now, if marker number two doesn't happen, great. You know, just go on with your life. But if you
Yeah.
see things increasing, like I'm being told they will, at least you're going to be aware, and at least you can say, "Hey, I need to start doing something, to protect myself and my family."
And we have a mutual friend here, also intuitive, that has a huge amount of her viewers come on my channel, Linda G.
Mm.
She's been talking about the shaking going on coming up this year. She's seeing it. A lot of people, worry about her in Northern California. What do you see for that?
Well, exactly the same thing. Uh, San Francisco, whole Bay Area is going to get wiped out, by earthquakes and tsunamis. And I know I'm holding off uh, talking to her again, just to let things continue to build in the
Yeah.
hopes that she'll let me come on her program and say, hey, these are things that you can do if this continues to increase. My whole idea is to save as many lives as I can. And and there will be people that will be absolutely will refuse, um, because and I'm told by my guardian angel Theo, it's because they have not had that experience, and their guardian angels are saying, oh, no, 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 don't leave, stay, don't listen to him, that kind of stuff.
It's hard. I mean, you have to face completely changing your life and everyone's already stressed the last several years.
Yes.
Everyone's stressed beyond stressed. I think the whole country is stressed beyond stressed.
Yeah.
And you hit a wall. Now you have something else you've written about for when you hit a wall. The most benevolent outcome, the book The Gentle
No,
Way.
I was wondering where you were going. I was not,
Well, when we all have our angels.
there we go. And you can say out loud, okay, because these are prayers. They don't sound like prayers, uh, because they don't call on any deity. And I did this so that anyone of any religion could say this. Now, if you want to put a deity on the front, like, dear Jesus, dear God, dear Allah, Vishnu, Vishnu, whatever, that's okay. Um, but you don't have to. It goes directly to where you want it to go. So you say, I request a most benevolent outcome for my safety and my family's safety, and a most benevolent outcome for the perfect place for me to live. Thank you. And that's all you have to say. And you say it out loud, because scientists in the future will rediscover the power of the human voice. And I didn't when I discovered this, I didn't know how it worked. And I told people, I said, I don't know how it works, but it works perfectly. And it does. It works perfectly with your um, with your soul contract. Okay, that soul path that you and your um, uh, and your soul, because you're a soul fragment. You're not a whole soul. Okay. I used to think like everybody else, especially if you watched It's a Wonderful Life this holiday season.
Yeah.
It's not like Clarence trying to get his wings to ring the bell. We're fragments of a whole soul that may be having 500,000 to 1,000,000 lives going on all across the universe for its learning. And there's a reason for that, which we can't get into today. We'll do it another time. But that's when you say these prayers out loud, they work and they work perfect.
Yeah.
Now, when you say prayers for other people, for beings like your pets, um, for countries, for uh, people in general. You say, "I ask any and all beings to blank, blank, blank. Thank you." So it could be, "I ask any and all beings to aid and assist in ending the war between Russia and Ukraine even sooner than we can hope for or expect. Thank you." You can do things like that. I've got these prayers in my newsletter. The
Yes.
newsletters are free. I've done over 900 so far. So you can go to my website, www.thegentleWayBook.com, and um, uh, click on articles and news, and you'll find all 900 plus archived there. Start with the newest ones and start reading backwards. That'll give you lots and lots of information. I've been especially working. One of my next books, I think, is going to be uh, about Creator, and so every week I'm trying to have questions to pose to Creator, and had been getting a lot of them in recently. So that book's coming along. We'll I just don't know when to stop it. There has to be a time when I start running out of questions at this time period. If
Yeah.
we were 10 years farther, maybe I'd have 100% more questions. I don't know, because things are progressing at a rapid rate. But but we're trying to come up with questions, deep questions if possible. But Creator has said, Tom, I can have 1 trillion conversations going on, and I do, across the whole universe, all going on at the same time. So I'll answer even the most trivial questions that someone will want to ask me in their meditative sessions. So all you have to do is just learn a little meditative um, way, a breathing exercise that'll take you into a light, uh, altered state. I mean, you don't go somnambulistic. You just take yourself down where you're not thinking about what they call monkey brain. You're not thinking about what you got to do in the next hour or next day or next week. You get rid of all that stuff, and then you say, I wish to speak to Creator, and Creator will be instantly there, and it'll say, just like he does me, says, Creator here, Tom. That's all you have to do.
And you just go within. I mean, because we're all connected.
Yep.
But if they do go to your website and want to email you, they have to check in the search bar if that question has already been asked, because we can't expect Tom to go into that state for everybody. He doesn't charge for this unless it's something that
Yeah.
hasn't been
There's a
asked
search,
yet.
right. There's a search box. Now, I wish I had a better search box. I'm using a Google search box, and for
Hmm.
some reason, it doesn't go all the way back. I don't know why. I've asked my son, the tech expert, and he hasn't found anything else for me. But at least, put a word or a term in the search box and see if I've asked the question already. If you can't find it, email me. I may come back and say, I have asked that, and this is this was the answer I got.
Okay.
Um, or I'll say, I won't say anything. You won't hear from me for a while because it takes me 3 to 5 weeks most of the time to get to questions, and so just be patient, understanding that I take them on a first come first served basis, and I may be working on somebody's question from 5 weeks ago.
Oh, that, yeah. And I want to just circle back, if you don't mind, to the prayer for other people. I've often heard people, when they're saying, I ask any and all beings, they'll often say, I ask any and all light beings, or any and all highest light beings. What do you think
Mhm.
about that? I've seen that in some groups.
And I've been asked that several times, maybe more than that.
Okay.
And I'm told that when you say, I ask any and all beings, automatically your guardian angel uh, steps in to to monitor, to make sure that your question goes directly to where where it's supposed to go. Now, let me explain a little further on that.
Okay.
There are there are approximately a little over 1 million golden light beings that we call guardian angels. These are whole souls that have spent millions of years raising their vibrational level to the point where their soul glows a golden light, and they're called golden light beings. Okay. So anytime you ask for something specifically for yourself, where you say, I request a most benevolent outcome, those go directly to your own guardian angel that knows your soul contract intimately, and in fact is your guardian angel for every single one of your lives that are all going on at the same time right now through all your lives on earth. Okay, so uh, your guardian angel handles hundreds of thousands of people all at the same time. So these souls are really quite magnificent. Okay, then you've got, I've been told, another million souls, and they handle all the prayers on earth. Okay, that
Mhm.
are like I ask any and all beings. Okay. So I asked Theo, I said, well, are they golden light beings too? And he said, no, they're younger souls, Tom, but they're eager, is the word he used. Okay. So these, if you can imagine how many billions of prayers are said every day around the world, and they have this million souls that handle all those prayers, and they immediately are able to check with your own soul, with your guardian angel, whoever it takes, to see if the prayer that you're asking is works within your soul contract, within the soul contract of the people that you're saying the prayer for, and so on. It's it's not, it's just not cut and dried. And that's why it doesn't seem like all your prayers are answered all the time, because it interferes with someone's soul contract where, I can say, I ask any all beings to save all the people on the North American West Coast, and it's not going to happen because I'm interfering with their soul contracts.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. So that's why the most benevolent outcome is important. You're
Yeah,
not controlling it, you're
just the most
rolling
benevolent.
that benevolence to yourself and, for others, of
Yeah,
course.
I ask any all beings to aid and assist in the most benevolent outcome for those whose soul contracts are for them, to escape the coming destruction on the North American West Coast and northern United States and lower Canada, and may they find the perfect places for them to uh, to move uh, to continue their lives on Earth. Thank you. So you got
Tom,
something like that.
I have something else I don't know if you're aware of that relates to you, so I think you may be aware of it.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, there's so much to talk about. It's crazy. But have you heard of a man called Chris Bledsoe?
Maybe, but it doesn't strike
Ah,
me.
so listen, this is quite interesting. So he's a UFO experiencer
Hmm.
from way back. In fact, he has so much information, the various government agencies have been working with him. But he has this vision of a lady that has appeared to him many times, and it's always like a religious experience when he experiences it. It almost sounds,
Is he on the East Coast?
I think he is, but I'm not
I may
certain.
have heard. Okay.
His son has a podcast called Bledsoe Said So. So his son, yeah,
Okay.
it's cute, and it's a really cute podcast. I've watched it a couple times. I really like it. Um, but he has had this visitations from this lady. Almost sounds like, a lot of what we maybe were taught were religious figures or whatever throughout life, the gods and the religious figures may actually be other beings from other places. So this being that she calls the lady, this very short lady, beautiful, says that when the star, right, I forgot to just remember the red star regulars. Let me see if I can find it. His it happens on Easter 2026 because not that the lady said it happens in Easter 2026. But when this particular star lines up with the Sphinx, I'm just trying to see if I can pull it up real quick. I didn't expect to ask you this, but it must be asked because okay, when the red star of Regulus, Regulus, aligns just before the dawn in the gaze of the Sphinx, a new knowledge shall come into the world. He said, I was not sure what that meant. I've come to understand that around Easter 2026, there will be the end of an old way and the beginning of a new. Now, the reason he's come to understand that this is Easter is he has a lot of friends that can plug that in and tell you when the date is astrologically. And it happens to fall on Easter 2026. Now, Edgar Casey, who I believe you were referring to him earlier when you were talking about the map of the United States, he was about 100 years ago. He was an amazing, intuitive, amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Edgar
Yeah,
Casey,
and when I start asking questions, I told people I'm starting at where Edgar Casey left off.
yes, exactly. So he said that in this imposition lies as he has a similar thing. As the sun rises from the waters, the line of the shadow or light falls between the paws of the Sphinx that was later set as the sentinel or guard. And that, sorry, I need my glasses. I apologize. I'm a woman of a certain age. All right. And which may not be entered from connecting chambers from the Sphinx's paw, the right paw, until the time has been fulfilled when the changes must be active in the sphere of man's experience. That's from an Edgar Casey reading, if you can look it up, 378-16. So Casey basically predicted that a chamber beneath the Sphinx's right paw would one day be discovered and contain records about the history of Atlantis, its people, and its downfall, and the advanced technology and spiritual knowledge from ancient times, and the origins of and the purpose of human life on Earth, a connection between the Atlanteans and the ancient Egyptians. He suggested that when humanity reaches a high enough level of spiritual consciousness, the Hall of Records, this is, these records underneath the pall, would be revealed, bringing an era of enlightenment. So, yeah, and this, we hope, is in this
Well,
difficult
yeah, you can
year.
send me the question. The problem is, are they going to still keep people? I mean, they've got a huge amount of things that they've discovered, um, but
Oh, yes.
because of their religious beliefs,
Yes, they can't
um,
say it.
they can't bring it up. So the question is, I mean, they could have already discovered under the pall of the Sphinx, but they're not telling anybody. So
They still say
there's the
everything no more than 6,000 years old
right, and then there's
because
the
that's
guy.
when people were created.
There's the guy that has used equipment and has found big, huge columns wrapped in some type of metal wire or whatever underneath the large pyramid that goes down like a couple of kilometers. And was that a power station? What purpose is that? And of course the Egyptians are fighting that pretty hard. But he's got images and everything. He's been on a couple of shows. I think maybe with Ross Coulthart or maybe Jesse Michaels for anyone that wants to look for that.
There's a lot of information out there, but it's not always shown. And definitely, I have a lot of experience. I've been to Egypt a lot, and I'm, aware of they will have all these discoveries, but they're not going to let on exactly what it is because it does go against their religion.
Mhm.
And we have that here in the United States as well. Like people don't believe anything is over 6,000 years old here, even though we have scientific proof that yes, it's really much older
Yeah.
here, because you gotta want the truth, you gotta want the truth. I let you go.
Okay.
I'll let you go. I see you looking. I know you got your lovely wife waiting for
Well, I've
you.
got I've got a clock over there just to check to see.
Jack, I know. Thank you for your time. Tom, I always, always enjoy hosting you and
Let's see
bringing,
how it goes. We're
yeah, we'll
gonna,
see how it goes.
maybe we should get together again, whether it be end of
Oh,
January, middle of
yeah.
February, when, I don't know.
We'll see how
Just
it goes. And, because we have these dates coming up in February. And, with Neptune and Saturn, Neptune's all about water, and Saturn is about karmic structure. And with Aries, that is, the planet of like things going, the beginning of something new. It's also ruled by, the god of war and everything. So you could see things shifting between the water and the earth with that 0 degree conjunction and all the other planets lining up near it, that are leaving water and earth signs into fire and air. So we have a lot of changes. We have the numerology all new. We have the Chinese astrology, all new beginnings. The same with our Western astrology. It's all amazing new starts. We just do not know, but we hold on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. As was it Betty Davis said? Hold on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. And but life is full of excitement if we can look at it that way.
yeah. And who, well,
We can look at it.
I don't want to go.
We have help. We have help.
So yeah, it's such a uh, you know, things are so up in the air for this coming year. So let's just see how it goes.
It's a year of change, but it could be gentler change.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope.
And that's why I say if these markers don't seem to be happening, hey,
We're good. And listen, I just wanted to mention I do have a $50 off my phone readings for the deep dive if you're interested. That's still running. And the $75 mini reads leave as personal readings. They're going to go back to be only available during tarot parties and not the phone calls. So you have just one more day till the 2nd of January if you want to
and can
pre-book
I
it.
mention one thing?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
my my books, like the Gentle Way and all, it if you and you can find this on my newsletter, um, that my books, if you buy five or less, I think it is, it's 35% off. If you buy six or more directly from my publisher, you get 50% off. And then for if you're just interested in and you want to buy from Amazon, my publisher, I have two publishers. My newest publisher is for the conversations with uh, Gaia book. Okay, this one. If you just want to buy these, it's 25% off directly with Amazon. So
That's
uh,
great.
keep that in mind. If
They'll
you've
make
got
great
a
gifts.
gift card for Christmas and you're looking for something to spend it on, I'd love for you to uh, try out and buy one or more of my books.
Yeah. And is there anything else you want to mention to our viewers before we'll see you next, maybe later in the month? I would love that.
Okay, sure.
Um,
And let's just see how things are going. I,
yeah. Yeah, that's all we can do. That's all we
yep,
can do and prepare within your means, you know?
yep.
Think about what you can do and listen to your intuition, all right? Your own guidance. All right,
So
thank you.
I ask any and all beings to aid and assist everyone in having a good 2026 with lots of love from you to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. All right. I'm going to talk to Tom for a moment personally. All right. Bye.